Hey guys, welcome back. It's Jen with Happy Humble Home, and today we're going to be doing a 7th grade curriculum flip through. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit subscribe and to ring that bell so that way you get notified of all the adventures here on Happy Humble Home. All right, y'all, let's jump into the flip through. All right, guys, so we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing on our assignment book is always to read our Bible. So we do Bible reading together. You know, this is the basic Bible. We do Bible reading together. One of the boys usually takes turns choosing a book in the Bible, and then we'll just read through it together. And that's pretty much most of it. I don't really have like a curriculum per se that we read through. But what we also do with this is we'll always do our Bible reading, we'll always pray. And then we will also do some type of either, whether it's working on memory verses, and popsicle sticks come in good for doing memory verses. We're also going to be trying to utilize an app called Verse Locker this year as well to help us with Bible memorization. And then we'll also do some catechisms or books of the Bible, that sort of thing. But that's pretty much the basis of the way that we do our Bible reading. Sometimes we might throw in an extra book or like an extra study on a particular book or whatever book we're reading maybe, and read a little bit more about the timeline in history when it happened, like the chronological aspect of it or something like that. But mostly our focus is just spending time reading and memorizing God's Word and praying. That's where we always start off our day. So now we're going to jump into the flip through. Okay guys, so the first subject that we're going to talk about is our life science. This is from Science Shepherd. So this is the answer key and the parent companion. So I'll go ahead and flip through and show you that. So at the very beginning we have like has a small introduction. Then it has a schedule. Well, a very basic schedule set up very easily. The first part is the study answer questions, which are the answers that come at the end of the chapter right here. And then we have, and that's all those, and then we have the life science test answer key. So you may be able to buy the test separately. I'm not 100% sure. But this right here, so this first test is Show You Test 1, covers chapters 1 through 3. And so it just kind of gives you general questions. I do know that in the little notes to parent section at the beginning of this, they talked about being able to use this however you best see is fit for your child. So you'll have their, I guess, suggested test, I guess is if you want to call it that, little section there where the answers are all in bold. And then you have this parent companion part, which goes into the discussion of the actual lessons and units. You can see where they have it divvied up into 1.0, 1.1, 1.2 type thing. There is not questions at the end of each little like section, like what is typical of most science books. Instead, it's just at the end of the chapter, which I really like. So that's pretty much the parent or teacher's guide here. It's pretty basic, honestly. It works out really well. The answers, and then yeah, so that their teacher guides and companion answer keys and parent companion books are actually very easy. Okay, so and then here is the student text. Again, it's from Science Shepherd. There is your table of contents. You can just kind of get a quick idea of what it will cover. And then here it gives an author's note. And then you jump right in. So you can see here how like this is 1.1. And then over here starts 1.2 up at the top up there. So the sections are actually they can kind of, some of them's lengthy, but for the most part, they're pretty short, to be honest. And then at the end of it, they always give a list of all the definitions, which are in bold. Most of them's always going to be in bold. Will be in your definitions at the end of the chapter. Here is the end of the chapter study questions. And then it just continues on like that. Because see, you can see like this little section of reading is 2.1, and this to there is 2.2. So it's very quick reads, which is why if you noticed in the schedule here, you'll do like 1.0 through 1.2 or 2.4 to 2.6 type thing. And then it does show you when to take your first test and all. So you can see where it kind of divvies up the sections. So they're not just doing like reading this section and then being done. But it's just kind of, it's very basic and very straight to the point, which I really like that. My oldest son used this and he seemed to really like it, and that's kind of what we followed through with 8th grade, and we've also are following that through with our 9th grade as well, which you'll see another book from Science Shepherd in the upcoming 9th grade video as well. But I mean, like, the pictures are very nice and crisp. All the definitions and stuff, I feel like they just do a very thorough job across all their sciences that we've used with them. And see, some of these will have so this is 17, so all of this, it has a lot more definitions in it, as you can tell. So some of them will be lengthier, some of them have a lot of study questions, some of them have about 10. So it just kind of depends on how long the chapter is and what you're discussing in it and that sort of thing, aspect of it. But that is the science. There is an index back here, and that's pretty much it. It's very straightforward, very basic. There you go. So that is our science from Science Shepherd. We're doing the life science. All right, now let's move on to language arts. So for language arts, we're doing writing with skill. This will be level 2. I believe I have a video up for level 1, which would be in 5th grade, I believe. So you could go check that video out under the curriculum playlist, but this will be level 2, and it's from the Well-Trained Mind series. So we're gonna just jump right in. So you see where it's divided into weeks and then days in your weeks. So all of them, I think, have a day 4 on this. Yes. So this is a 4-day-a-week curriculum, which kind of gives you a buffer on the 5th day or lets you take each day a little slower if need be, which is great. So you have your sequence of work, and then you can see here. So this will be week 1, day 1. And you have your steps. It's broke up into steps. And then it moves on to week 1, day 2. So then, like up here, we're on week 12, and this would probably be week 12. This would be day 3 for week 12. So the outline is basically the same all throughout it, which is really nice. And then stop. And then that's pretty much it. It will have some, let's see, where's it at? It does have, I believe, some literary works in the back right here. So you can see there, they're supposed to have a final project. It's a 36-week curriculum. There is an appendix here that they'll tell you, like, and then they'll be instructed in the kids, in the student section, they'll be instructed whether to go to appendix 1 and to read whatever section it is that they need to read for their studies, for whatever part they're wanting them to do. So that is all included there. And then there's your appendix 2, which would be with, excuse me, I'm sorry for bumping the camera, y'all, would be for the poetry. The Highwayman. Every time I see the Highwayman, I can't think about help but think about Anne of Green Gables, y'all. And then it has, of course, the works cited for everything that they read in this. So that's the student book there. And then the teacher's book is really set up basically the same way. Like, we have our table of contents here. And then you see here, this one's going to have a little bit more appendixes added because it has like weekly rubrics, general rubrics, that kind of stuff for it that you can use. It does have an introduction here that kind of goes over notes to the instruction, overview of the year sequencing, and then we start day 1. So this right here, so this is student responsibility. So this right here, where it's a little bit smaller in print, that is what the same instructions that the student had in their book. So it kind of helps you know, without looking at your student's book, what they were supposed to do. Because this is, again, this is student instruction for step 2. And then here's your student's instructions. And then for step 3, if they need help, it tells you how to help student with step 3. And it kind of gives you, like, suggests central ideas to kind of, in this case, help them figure out a way to summarize paragraphs. So it's pretty, it follows just like the student book did as far as the week and day and step aspect go. But some days will actually have like a way to help the student with it, and some days they won't, because some days it's just a lot of reading and there's really not a way to help the student necessarily, you know, when it's just reading and all, unless you have certain questions or something like that. But that's pretty much it. And then we're going to go ahead and flip back here to which you'll see kind of the other appendixes. So there's that one. Okay, and then sentence variety chart. So it just has some extra helping little appendixes back here to help. And then, of course, the grading rubrics, that kind of stuff. Weekly rubrics. And there you go. And that's pretty much it, y'all. It is, yep, general rubrics. So that is our 7th grade language arts, writing with skill. This is a level 2, so it does kind of build on level 1. Like I said, you can see that in the 5th grade assignment, in the 5th grade curriculum video that is up on the channel. You can view through the playlist there. All right, and so for math, we're going to use the Saxon 8-7 math with pre-algebra. I'm not gonna lie, y'all, Saxon always confuses me because this is 7th grade math, but they put the 8 first, so I always want to think it should be 7-8, but it's not. It's 8-7, so this is 7th grade math going into 8th grade type aspects. So we're just gonna do this so you can kind of see the contents here. One thing I do like about Saxon is that it does do like a, I don't know if it's, I can't think of the proper term for it, but it's like it snowballs. So a little bit of your lesson will have past ideas with it. It doesn't just focus on one topic and then leave everything else in the dust. So you can have, this is the student book. So textbook, worksheet, lessons, how much time they recommend for each lesson and test, materials that you'll need. And so let's jump right in here to lesson. Well, we'll just go ahead and start with lesson 2. So you'll have this little warm up here that you can do like the mental math and all. It goes into the new concepts. And then you'll have your lesson practice set. And then these little numbers under it that tells you what lesson you can refer back to, which comes in handy as you get further into the book. You can know exactly if they're stumped on a subject or a topic, not a subject, sorry. If they're stumped on how to do a particular problem, they can go ahead and go back to that lesson and read that lesson that pertains to that particular problem. So that's very helpful. And then skills that was already learned. And then you just continue on throughout the math. This, you can see it's not very colorful at all. It's just kind of there. So again, you have your examples. It gives multiple examples for it. And then your practice set and mixed practice, you can see here where there's other numbers included. So they do kind of build. I will say most, if I'm not mistaken, all of them, but pretty much everything that's a mixed practice set, they only give the kids 30 problems. Whether that was across Algebra 1.5, Algebra 1, Saxon 8-7, there's always 30 problems in the mixed practice set. And then the lesson practice, how many is in there, that can vary from 1 to however many they put in. So there's your just typical math here. And then I was going to get back here and show you. So there's the investigations you've seen in the contents, table of contents. There were some investigations. So like this one is one that focuses on scale factor and surface area and volume. And you can see it's a little bit more, well, you can see they actually put those in between the lessons wherever the purple is. This is an investigation, so it's not a separate section in the back of the book. I just happened to open one, but it just comes after the lesson. There's just an extra investigation. And then back here, get to the beginning of this right here. You can see the little lessons. So this is supplemental practice problems for selected lessons. So you can see here there's 26, 30, 33. It's not really a rhyme or reason on that. It's just extra practice. This is a dictionary type thing, your index, glossary there, I should say. And then we have our index. Sorry, that was our glossary there. And then here's our index. And that is pretty much it with the student textbook from Saxon 8-7. And then here is the solutions manual for it. Here's your, again, it does have the test in it as well. So you can see here where it gives the lesson warm-up, which was the little purple box, then your practice lessons, and then it goes into the mixed problems, and the answers, or what is in bold, is what their answer is supposed to be there. So pretty basic. It's kind of the same setup that they keep holding through. Let's see here. Trying to get... And then back here is your the supplemental practices. There's your answers for those. Here is some practice tests that you can give them for like proportions or, you know, percent decimal fraction equivalents, just kind of little extra practice tests there almost. And then here is, excuse me, sorry y'all. Here is the list solutions for the test that come, the test and quizzes and stuff do come in a separate book that's like this one right here, but it'll just say text or test and solutions, I think, or something like that. Test and supplements. That's what it will say. Test and supplements. But you can see here where the answers are there for the test. Okay, so this is the test and worksheet. Sorry, not test and supplements, test and worksheets. It just has basic multiplication fact worksheets, you know, eighths worksheets, circles, just kind of practice worksheets. There was like the proportions that you've seen. The answer to is all in the solutions manual. Let's see if we can get back here to one of the tests. Here we go. So this is test 4. It does give you your testing schedule. So test 1 covers materials through lesson 5, and you're supposed to give it after lesson 10. So there's supposed to be a gap between giving lessons and testing and all. So what you can see here, looks like most all their tests are 20 questions and just kind of builds on it. Again, the answers to these are in the solution, in the teacher's solutions key. So, and that is the Saxon 8-7 math that we're using for 7th grade math. Okay, and if y'all have watched my channel enough, you know that I do things differently, especially when it comes to history, that I like using documents or things that you would not consider a typical curriculum necessarily. So this year we're going to be giving the Patriots History of the United States a guide. And you can see here, y'all, there's no questions at the end of the chapters. There's like 80-something chapters in this, I think. This is an older version, I believe. So let's see, there's 22 chapters. I'm sorry, there's like 700 pages. Sorry, y'all, I don't know what my dog was doing. So this one was last copyrighted in 2014, so I think they have come out with like more of an updated edition than this one, but this is the one that I have that I bought off of a lady on Facebook, one of the buy and sell curriculum pages. So chapter 1 is like 20 or 30 pages long, as you can see here, but it is kind of like divvied up into little sections, so it makes it easy to assign reading with it. And that's just exactly what it is, y'all. It's just a basic book. There's no questions at the end. There you do have like this little, my camera will focus, you can see there like a timeline kind of. It just happens to be going along with, you know, chapter 11 here. So this will be just a lot of reading. That will be just a lot of reading on this part. There's nothing back here except for works-cited pages. There are works-cited pages in the index. So there's your, and then selected reading when they're referencing other books. And then here's the works-cited pages. And it's divvied up to works-cited by chapters. So what I'm going to use with this is I found on patriothistoryyusa.com, you can actually go down there and download this PDF for guided questions for each one of the chapters. So this is what we're going to kind of use as our study guide, you know, possible discussion questions, kind of an overview of what every chapter is. And I'm just going to stick this in a little pronged folder. I just don't have my folder yet, y'all. But you can just kind of see here. There's really, it's more just of a discussion type setup than a answer the questions at the end of the chapter. It's a lot more discussion based and just a lot of reading type history. So I do think that that will be a really good resource to use. And again, description below where you can find these questions at, but it is at the patriothistoryyusa.com for guided questions, and it's under a secondary/homeschool questions that's in PDF form, and you just
print it off.
All right, guys, so that pretty much wraps it up for our actual flip through portion of our 7th grade curriculum. Again, I may end up adding in some like extra theological books for Bible, or I may end up adding in something a little more for history, or if we get to a certain time point in history where there's other books I would want them to read, say like a little bit more information about the Alamo than what that book gives. But that's our general basis guidelines. I'll leave links to where you can purchase these books in the description box, along with like where you can print off any extra PDFs and everything. And as always, if y'all have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll check in with y'all later.